In this video, I'm going to demonstrate estimating production material requirements and use exercise 1331 as an example. So we start out here and it tells us this particular plant makes plastic shells for the company's calculators, and each calculator requires one shell. For the next 2 years, we're expecting to sell 160,000 calculators. And our first thing is we're trying to target what we think we need to produce for the next upcoming year. Now, a logical starting point is what we're going to sell, 160,000 calculators. So logically, the starting point is I need 160,000 shells. But keep in mind, we're estimating. If I only have 160,000 shells that I produce and I happen to have additional sales, I don't have enough production. Or on the other hand, too, if I only produce that much, then the next year I have zero inventory as a buffer to start the year, and they can't sell anything until they get production going. So for most companies, they'll anticipate I want to have some finished goods inventory on hand and ending inventory. For this particular company, they tell us the target ending and finished goods inventory is 5,000. So my total needs are my sales of 160,000 plus I want to have a buffer of 5,000 units on hand for a total of 165,000. Now again, you might think, okay, let's put that plan into action, produce 165,000. But keep in mind, I also have to consider, did I have any finished goods inventory already on hand that I can reduce those total needs that much less that I don't have to produce? So go back to my scenario and it tells us the beginning finished goods inventory of shells is 20,000. So again, I need 165,000 for my sales and my ending inventory, but I already have 20,000, so I can subtract that 20,000 from the 165,000, and I only need to produce 145,000. Now again, note sales plus ending inventory minus beginning inventory gives me production. I often find a lot of students flip-flop this, and I think there's some logic behind that. One of the formulas you're most familiar with was calculating cost of goods sold, and that was one where you added in your beginning inventory and subtracted out your ending inventory. So exactly opposite of what we did here. But keep in mind, cost of goods sold was a withdrawal. We were looking at what was taken out. Here, we're looking at what's added in, production that we're adding in. So we need to treat the ending inventory and beginning inventory exactly opposite of what we did when we were calculating cost of goods sold. Now, there's a second part to this particular problem, and it asks us how much plastic do we need to purchase in order to fulfill those production needs. And I go back to the scenario and it tells us each shell requires 6 ounces of plastic. Again, a logical starting point is I'm producing 145,000 shells. Each one requires 6 ounces, so I need 870,000 ounces. So let's rush out and buy that. But again, make that consideration. Do I want to have some ending inventory of plastic on hand? Again, if sales are higher and I need to produce higher, that I have a buffer out there. If I have some quality issues, that I buffer out there. Also, starting next year, I have a buffer of inventory. They're not shut down as far as the plant, just waiting for more materials to come in. So I read through my scenario and it says that management has set a target to have plastic on hand equal to 2 month sales requirements. So I'm going to start out here and say, remember the annual sales requirements was 160,000 calculators and there's one shell per each one. Each shell requires 6 ounces of plastic, so 160,000 times 6 ounces. You can see I'm multiplying it times 2/12, and that's because 160,000 is a whole entire year. It's 12 months. I only want 2 of those 12 months, and so I only want 160,000 ounces when I multiply this all out. Add the 160,000 ending inventory ounces that I want to the 870,000. And so my total direct material needs altogether to fulfill both is 1,030,000. But again, I have to step back and say, do I already have some plastic on hand? Yes, I do. In fact, I have 60,000 ounces. So I can subtract that from my direct materials need, and I only need to purchase 970,000 ounces.